They came on dreams, the immigrants, to build a nation.
Observe the laws of Canada and fulfill my duties as a Canadian citizen.
Our sailing never ends. Even if it stops in the muscles, it goes on in words. The silence of the pedals. Sailing on, we wonder, how many things can man dream during the day? I'm writing my poetry, whatever I do. It's not about being a public figure. It's not about getting a lot of money. You need money to survive. You need money to live. I mean, I work for my pay and I work my day. I am a poet, a writer. I'm a husband and a father. I came from Yugoslavia in 1985. I work as a superintendent of 2 apartment buildings in Toronto.
Radovan Gajic was born in 1953 in a place called Knin, in a country which recently vanished. Radovan's short works were published in Yugoslav literary magazines. His books are The Rains of Kosovo, The Damned Sailor of the Danube, and his first work written in English, The Hostage of T-City. His new book, The Silence of the Word, is forthcoming.
Pa, usamljene su I pesme I pesnik. I to je tako, mislim. Pa dobili ste odgovor, ja nisam usamljen čovjek. When I was growing up in Yugoslavia, I was different from the other kids. I started writing my own journals at a very early age. And I wasn't doing the stuff that other kids were doing. Like, I don't remember ever playing a football game while everybody else was playing. I was working as a counselor in one of the municipalities, and aside of that, I had several jobs writing scripts. The last thing that I did before I left Yugoslavia was the writing and directing of the celebration of the late Tito's birthday. It was a big kind of professional challenge, and half of the money that I got, I used for a ticket to come to Canada. I came because I loved and I love Vesna still, so she wanted to be here. As then as now, the world was more accessible to us from Canada than from Yugoslavia. Then later on, the war broke out and we got a daughter, and so I decided to stay. Anna was born here in Canada. When I hear that voice in a schoolyard among the children, I can tell that my child is there, and that doesn't go away. Anna speaks both languages. Grandparents were surprised that she speaks so well, though being born over here, because most kids don't. I feel happy that she's growing up in a peaceful climate and that she can one day become whatever she wants. I mean, really whatever she wants, that she can choose. And that's the most important thing. There's so many people over here that do not hurt the other people with what they're doing. And that's what I like about her being here in Canada. This place is kind of Anna's place, and it will remain for her forever, wherever she ends up. In those two buildings where I'm a superintendent are mostly inhabited by tenants who came from war, mostly ordinary people.
Hvala Kanadi od sveg srca što me je izvukla iz onoga tamo svega. Pa barem da živu glavu spasim i da dobijem neku nadu. Pružila mi je neku nadu da...
Radovan nam je pomagao u vezi emigračnih papira, sve. On nam je preveo, pokazao, sredio poslu.
Radovan helped us a lot. He came every night to our house to try to do our homework in English. He tried to teach us how to pronounce some words. He helped us a lot.
Please,
roughly 2 seconds.
Ja sam došao iz Bosne, ili, ako ćete kazati, bivše Jugoslavije.
Početkom 90. godina počeo je rat u našoj zemlji. Taj rat nije ništa dobro donosio, kao nikome.
Prvih par mjeseci u meni je bila tolika tuga i jad da ja u stvari nisam ni vidjela ni Toronto, ni Kanadu.
Po nagovoru Radovana mi smo prihvatili posao, nisam se pokajao, dobro je.
People who came from my country, being from my country, very often they would kind of offer me to help me because they are not used to have a superintendent, because over there in the buildings you don't have a superintendent.
Ja i on se dobro slažemo, radimo, komponovani smo. Ja sam Radovana pokušao da naučim voziti traktor. Ne bi ja stalno vozio i kad ja nisam tu da on može.
Once in a new country, one has to do whatever work one can find.
Plamene zore, bude verisna, fabrička jutra, dim iz dimnjaka, treba teori, mladi radnici, čelična jutra, idan fabrici, drugovi moji, radni veseli, bicikle voze, ponositi svi. Drugovi moji, radni veseli, pobede nove, nosit ćemo mi. Suze već grejem, vetar Charlija, jutarnja rosa, zemlja mirisna.
Evo ti Radovana pa se nauči voziti biciklo.
Bicikl. I never learned how to drive a bicycle. My friends were trying to teach me, and they took me to the cemetery. But at half of the downhill, I lost control over the bicycle and ended up in a brand new grave. That was my driving the bicycle to the end, and never again. I have lived for almost 13 years in Canada. The Hostage of this City is my first book that I wrote in English. The idea was to express certain feeling of being hostage within another language. So my writings are mostly personal. You read, you listen, you look, you talk to the people, you get the experience, and you try to record that experience through the images, through the metaphors. The river is actually a metaphor for the language. And for immigrant, I think a new shore is a new birth. Through my words, infinite voices are becoming poems. And it feels great to hear my poetry in other people's voices.
The wind is in our muscles again. The water of the river shudders under our oars.
Human life is a tender desire. It imbues our being. When fighting overpowers tenderness, desire grows weary. And when desire ends, only the body remains, the thing itself.
For days and nights we paddled, motionless, without hearing the oars splashing. Most of my writings are done during the night. Very often I write mostly while I'm working. That's when your mind is on. And even today I'm lucky. I can say I don't know what war is about, but I've heard a lot of stories about the war.
Pa imam noćne more svaki put. Kad spavam, strah me da zaspijem. Jer 70% mojih snova je rat. I to onda počnem da plačem po noći, počnem da urlam. I pucanje, bježanje. Mislio sam da će me proći vremenom. Kad sam došao u Kanadu, kad se sredimo, ne prolazi.
Granate su tako glasne bile da je nekih 15 kilometara od moje kuće kod nas je vrata se otvarala, prozori su se tresli, djeca ovog noć nisu spavala, javkala su, bojala su se.
Znam samo da se puca i da svaku noć treba pokušati spavati djecu, da ne čuju te zvuke koji se čuju u daljini. Prikriti od njih strah u sebi, to je bilo najteže. Strah koji ti imaš da ne vide djeca, da se plašiš, ti kao roditelj da se plašiš. Strah od neizvjesnosti šta će biti sutra.
Tim povod mi je bio, od kolega mi je poginuo.
Da li bi to vaš najbolji drug?
Jeste. Radili smo zajedno 20 godina.
And that's what, in a sense, my writing is about. If it serves to enrich people not to do what was done in the Balkans, what was done in all the wars, then I've done something. I don't see myself as a kind of a peacemaker, preacher for peace, but I see myself as somebody who does that because he carries certain hope on. There was a guy who lived in the building and I took him for a side job. But later on, I got some tickets for the cinema, and I invited him. And we were walking to the cinema on Young and Eglinton, and at one point he said to me, "You don't know how wonderful feeling it is to walk to the cinema." I haven't been for 5 years in cinema. He came from Sarajevo.
I najstrašniji mi bio pomisao kad smo odlučili onaj trenutak, kad smo odlučili da napustimo našu kuću. Nije bilo izbora. Za bolju budućnost naše djece nama je jedini put bio, u ovom slučaju, Kanada.
Lying on the deck, I heard a song coming from 1,000 throats.
Inside myself. I should write it down, I thought, but fell asleep instead. Slept through the song. Snatched by sleep, it remained unwritten. Surely those that sing it somewhere distant from
1,000 throats can hear its melody.
Nova bašta. Mislila sam da ne sadim, ali nisam mogla. 2 godine nisam uopšte. Bilo mi je teško. Da ne ponovim opet ono što je uz otuđe.
So many of these people who came from war and found their homes over here, they would set up their own small gardens on the balconies or in the houses. We can read it like one of those basic instincts. But there is also that, I would say, universal human tendency to arrange the garden in order to achieve almost total and complete peace. My new book, Silence of Words, tries to account for the myth of the lost garden and offer the reader new hope to participate in the struggle for the garden. We have the hope of its beginning, communities building together in a common and mutual beneficial effort. Every doorway leads to another garden, all forming a sort of universal garden. For many, as is conceived in the novel, Canada functions as just such a garden. The symbolic garden of hope. Somebody told me once that first books that were published in Canada were the catalogs of seeds. And that's a wonderful story about the beginning of one country. Canada, you might say, is more of a land than it is a country.
Djeca, oni imaju budućnost ovdje, pa vidjet ćemo koliko ćemo. Djeca će vjerovatno i ostati ovdje, a ja vjerovatno na kraju će biti da se možda i vratim.
Svaki početak je težak, pa, mogu da kažem, privikli smo se jednim dijelom. Imamo nekakav posao. Stvorili smo krug prijatelja, novih prijatelja.
Pravi domać.
Želio bi, ali želja se ne ispunjavaju jer je malo kasno. Želio bih da znam jezik zemlje u kojoj mislim da ću završiti život. za koje vrijeme to nikad niko ne zna, da mogu, to se kaže, konverzaciju voditi sa svakim građanom ove države.
I cannot accept any definition of war because I cannot accept war. And don't ask me, and I don't like anybody asking me how painful it is. It's enough painful for me to know all these stories, and I don't ask, and I never asked anybody how painful the war was for him or her. When they tell me, if they tell me, I'm trying not to forget it.
Slowpoke.
Are you faster than me?
What?
Are you faster than me?
Of course I am.
A sailor is born twice, once from the mother, the second time when he begins his journey.